Two countries that have been the subject of crippling sanctions from the United States are now working together. As Iranian ships head to Venezuela, the U.S. is reportedly looking for ways to intervene, which could signal a new conflict amid increased tensions. RT's Rachel Blevins is joining us now from the newsroom with the latest developments to this. So, Rachel, what more can you tell us on this story?
Well, Manila, both Iran and Venezuela have been hit with extensive sanctions by the U.S. over the last year, which has severely limited their oil sales and hurt their economies. But now the U.S. may also move to try to prevent the two countries from working with each other. In response to reports that Iran is in the process of shipping oil to Venezuela, an anonymous senior U.S. official was quoted as saying, "It is not only unwelcome by the United States, but it's unwelcome by the region, and we're looking at measures that can be taken." One of those measures could be deploying U.S. Navy ships to the Caribbean Sea in an effort to prevent 5 Iranian tankers that are currently en route with more than $45 million worth of gasoline and supplies from reaching Venezuela's ports. Iran's foreign minister submitted a complaint to the United Nations on Sunday, warning that any attempts to disrupt the transfer of oil to Venezuela would be seen as illegal and a form of piracy, and the U.S. would be responsible for the consequences. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry doubled down, arguing that the U.S. cannot dictate the placement of Iran's oil tankers around the world.
What Americans stated regarding our oil tankers in various locations around the world is illegal and shameful. If they make any move against this free and legitimate sailing of our ships, they will definitely face reaction by the Islamic Republic of Iran.
These warnings also come as Iran's supreme leader renewed calls for U.S. troops to withdraw from Iraq and Syria, going as far as to say that if the Americans stay in Iraq and Syria, they will be expelled. Now, it is not clear exactly how the plan to expel U.S. troops would be carried out, but Iran has argued that any presence it has in the countries was requested by their governments, as opposed to the U.S., which has maintained its presence through force. After pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal in May 2018, the Trump administration has continued to implement crippling sanctions, even as other countries have called for the U.S. to show mercy in the midst of a coronavirus outbreak that has led to around 7,000 deaths in Iran. As for Venezuela, the Trump administration has spent the last year working to overthrow elected President Nicolas Maduro by putting their support behind opposition leader Juan Guaido. While the sanctions have been aimed at creating an uprising among the Venezuelan people, they have left thousands impoverished and in need of food and medical supplies, while creating very little support for Guaido. Now, the economic sanctions on Venezuela, one of the largest oil reserves in the world, have also resulted in gas shortages. That's because the South American country is unable to refine its own crude. This is where Iran comes in, willing to bring in much-needed chemicals for those refineries. Washington has worked to cut off Venezuela and Iran from working with both the U.S. and any of its allies. But now it remains to be seen how far the U.S. will go to prevent the two countries from working with each other. Reporting in the newsroom, Rachel Blevins, RT.
All right, here to weigh in on these issues in the UK, former UK MP George Galloway, and here stateside, former Pentagon official Mike Malouf. So, gentlemen, good to see you both. George, I'll start with you. Both Iran and Venezuela are currently being sanctioned by the U.S. They are effectively on America's naughty list, if you will. If American allies aren't allowed to do business with either country, what's the problem with them doing business with one another?
Well, it would be pirates in the Caribbean and not the...
All of praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Bahashem, Rakaha Kadash, Eda Bohana to Zelda, the apostle of Gutimison, who do well and who taught us this 100% truth according to the scripture. A peace, a blessing, and salutation to you, Akim, who are pushing this truth to the four winds of the heaven, a being on the forefront of this spiritual war, to make sure Jerusalem is established as a place here on earth. And what this dude, George Galloway, a former member of parliament over there in Britain, he said that is piracy, because America, they want somehow to prevent Iran delivering those chemicals which will be needed for oil refinery. And George Galloway called that a piracy. So in today's lesson, we are going to look on how the wicked kingdom is being called out for it is piracy, you see. Or in the scripture it is referred to as trafficking. And that's what made really America flourish, man. Because they dominated all of this traffic. When we say traffic, we are talking about all of this, what can I call them, all of these ways in which America accumulated its wealth. It's like when you are in this truth, in order for you to flourish and to continue to thrive in this truth, you need to be well connected with Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Going back to that word, channeling, you see. That's why being in this truth, it is likened into a tree, see. And a tree always have a deep root. Those roots are used for channeling, so that it can obtain water and a nutrient deep down in the ground. And if those roots are cut off in any form, the tree will wither. And that is symbolic for you losing that connection or that channeling to your power, which is Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. The same thing goes for this kingdom throughout history, man. All the way to King Solomon, all the way to Tyre and Zidon. By that dude, we call him Hiram Abif, man. And the definition of the Canaanite, if you go to the Blue Letter Bible, they are referred to as a merchant. One of the definitions is they were merchant seat. Going back to Tyre and Zidon, they established their kingdom based on the traffic. That's why America also is referred to as a Tyre or Zidon, because of what? Because of traffic, or you can call it a pirate or pirate. But now we are seeing this other nation is standing up and calling out this wicked kingdom, which is America, man, because of who it is piracy. And that indicates that, you see, that indicates that the rulership of America is coming to an end, man, you see. Piracy. It says a practice of attacking and robbing ships at sea. So this goes hand in hand with sanction, embargo, and the piracy, man. That is piracy, man. And in that video you heard that reporter was saying, instead of America easing a sanction to Iran during this coronavirus, during this crisis, guess what America did, man? They tightened even more those sanctions to make it worthy for Iran. And that's what you get when is a wicked be a ruler of the people. When you go back to history during King Solomon, we made all of the nation around about us a vassal state. We collected a tribute, but we didn't prevent them trading. We didn't prevent them doing business, you see, and things like that. But America, what they are doing is not only they are stealing, or they are doing an unrighteous ruler, or to this other nation, but they are doing also what we call piracy, you see. Let's go back to the video again.
Type of pirates, but the ugly Mike Pompeo pirates of the Caribbean. It's an act of,
you see, the pirates of the Caribbean, you see. And another point is, I did my past lesson here. I was stretching on how important This two strategic point, back to it, you have the Caribbean Sea and you have the Persian Gulf. Those are two very strategic point here on Earth, because the Persian Gulf over there, or the Middle East, it link you to the Far East. The Caribbean, yes, so it link you to the end of the world, man, you see. And you have what we call a sea routes, man. You have sea route and you have a sea current. So America, or the wicked kingdom, see, what they did is they occupied those important strategic point, and that is the reason why you have the state of Israel. Really, the wicked elite, they don't care about those lesser Amalekite over there in the land of Israel. If they want, they can sacrifice all of them. What they care is Israel over there is acting as a buffer, a state over there in the Middle East. See, and that's why another thing you see, they want Maduro gone. See, they want President Maduro gone. Why? Because he is getting on the way of the piracy of America. So from there, let me get a scripture. See, let me get a really quick scripture. See. Let me see. It is, let me go straight to it. It is Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel. So this is the book of Ezekiel 28, starting at verse 15. It says, "Thou was perfect in thy ways from the day that thou was created, till iniquity was found in thee." And this really is talking about America, man. Going all the way back in the day, everybody around the earth, he thought America is very perfect, man. And the fact is that America killed themselves as a God-fearing country, you see, really that had an impact around the world, man. This other nation, they saw America as a perfect nation. But during the 1960s, when the prophet came in the scene, you see, and all the way during the internet age, America have been called out. You see, all the iniquity of America have been found out. Verse 16 it says, "By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence." You see, and that's what you saw in that video, man. That piracy, man. You see, and thou hast sinned, therefore I will cast thee as a prophet out of the mountain of the Most High, and I will destroy thee, O covering a cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thy heart was lifted up because of thy beauty, you see, because of what we call thy beauty, because of the status they have around the world, you see, the status they had around the world, and that was the beauty you see, of America, you see, though has corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness, I will cast thee to the ground, man. And this goes into since the elders and the apostles, man, of one West came on the scene, really starting with Babylon, man. You see, America have been exposed. And right now, if we continue watching that video, nation around the world, they are calling out America of their violence, their iniquity, and their unrighteous dealing. You see, actually, Iran, they went to the UN to complain. And what is the UN? The UN is a beast, you see, and the beast or the 10 horn were prophesied to turn against America. You see, I will lay thee before kings that may behold thee. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuary by the multitude of thy iniquity, by the iniquity of thy trafficking. You see, so all of this trafficking which America have established, they were not based on righteousness. You see, they were not based on righteousness. Let's see that. So see, this is the Proverbs 29 and 2. It says, when is the righteous are in assault, the people rejoice, but when the wicked be as ruler, the people mourn. You see, because of what? Because of violence, unrighteousness, you see, and oppression. And you see, and that's how America was founded upon. All of the chain of supply in which America have, all of the trafficking, they obtained them through piracy, you see, through piracy. Let's continue. Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee, you see, it shall devour thee. And this is going to the prophet, man, to the prophet which will bring about America being exposed, which will bring about a division within America. You see, and I will bring thee the ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. You see, so from there, you see, let's go to the book of Revelation, man. See, the book of Revelation 17. You see, the book of Revelation 18, Salaki. So this is the book of Revelation 18 and 9. And the king of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. You see, verse 11. And the merchant of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore. And that merchandise, it doesn't only mean trading on physical goods. You see, that merchandise, the scripture when they say is a nation, you won't buy your merchandise, they won't buy her merchandise anymore. It really going into the propaganda, you see, because in order for you to sell something to somebody, you need to do what we call marketing. You do what we call marketing. You see, they call it strategic marketing. Or if you go over there in Washington, there is something known as a lobbyist. You lobby something. If you want to do trade with China, you send what we call a lobbyist. They go in a lobby, you see, and then you enter into a contract, you see. So the process of lobbying, so that you can be in a trade with somebody that is selling your merchandise to that person before you start trading in goods. So what really the scripture here means is people want to buy into America's agenda. which will lead into not buying the actual goods of America. The actual goods of America, and that will lead into the grinder season. This is Ecclesiastic 12:3. It says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall boast themselves." Before reaching to this point, the nations which used to trade with America, they will stop buying to American strategy or American propaganda. See? And that will lead into all of the nations isolating America and stop trading with her. You see? And the grinder sees because they are few, and those they look at the window be darkened. You see? So that is a process, man. That don't just happen overnight. You see? Let's go to Revelation 18. You see? And 11 it says, "And the merchant of the earth shall weep and mourn of her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore." And that word merchandise, it can mean nobody will buy into America lobbying. If America go over there in China, they start lobbying or negotiate a trade deal with China or a trade deal with EU. This other nation want to buy into America. Bullshit, man. You see, and that will lead into stopping into buying actual goods, actual merchandise, man. You see, verse 12, "And the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stone and of pearl and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all of thy wood and all manner of vessels of ivory, all manner of vessels of most precious and of brass and fire and of marble." You see, verse 15 is the merchant of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, which weeping and wailing. You see, that's what it is, man. And how America stood on the top or the pinnacle of this trafficking. They control the sea route, they control the air route, they control all of the land route, they control everything. That's why they are able to put embargoes on somebody. You see, because they obtain their riches or that ability through corruption or through weakness. But now you see, the wicked kingdom is being called out, man. See, the wicked kingdom is being called out, man. You see, this is Isaiah 13 in verse 2. "Lift up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt their voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the noble." What is the gates of the noble, man? Or the higher mountain? That is America, man. You see, that is America. The same book, the book of Isaiah, man. The book of Isaiah, let me see. You see, the book of Isaiah 47:1, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground." What does that mean? It simply means that it will reach a point where nobody in the earth will buy the merchandise of America or their philosophy. See, if you buy into the philosophy of certain nation, that will lead to you trading with them or engaging with them in your actual life. Like how you see in this different news, man, this nation around the world, they don't give a fuck about America, and that will get worse and worse and worse. And that is America sitting on the dust. America power structure being broken down, and one of which is a power structure is the merchandise or the traffic America have over other nations. "O daughter of the Chaldean, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take a millstone, grind meal, and cover the lock, make bare the leg, and cover the thigh, pass over the river." So the wickedness of this kingdom is being called out, man. Esau is being revealed. The sins of Esau being found out, you see. This is the book of Obadiah, see. 1 and 6, it say how the things of Esau set out, how are his hidden things out up. So everybody in the street know America is a fucking wicked kingdom, man. You see? Let alone countries like Iran, you see? China, all over the world, man. So this beach is being exposed, and that will lead to him losing his control over the merchandise of the earth, or his trafficking. That will lead into the grinder season, you see. So it is total destruction, man, you see. So this I say shalom. I hope you brothers are edified. On to the next.